afternoon, Kmtv News at 12. I'm Emmanuel Davis. An initiative aimed at empowering women in the Minor River Union Basin has officially been launched in the country. The empowerment campaign under the patronage of Miss Minor River Union, Goretti Atoka, is captioned "Eradicating Poverty with emphasis on gender equality in agriculture." Speaking at the launch of the program, Ambassador Joseph Hassale challenged governments of the MRU region to see agriculture as the spine to poverty eradication. He said through agriculture, economic diversification can be enhanced and achieved. Meanwhile, Miss Minor River Union, Goretti Atoka, says her vision as a regional queen is to help less fortunate women in the agricultural sector become self-sufficient. According to her, this will help also minimize gender-based violence across the MRU community. Ms. Atoka wants governments of the community to get involved with the soil because, according to her, it is the key source to development. News emanating from Capitol Hill in Monrovia says members of the House of Representatives do support government salary harmonization exercise. A local daily quotes Deputy House Speaker Prince Moi as saying the legislature is in full support of the proposal, even if their salaries and benefits will be sliced by half. The Bond County lawmaker told journalists on Capitol Hill that any decision leading to an adjustment in salaries of civil servants and lawmakers will be done in accordance with law. Deputy Speaker Moi made the disclosure following reports that lawmakers are expected to agree to a massive salary cut from $15,000 to a maximum of 6,000 United States dollars. Coalition for Democratic Change has termed as misleading accusation attributed to the opposition community. The opposition a few days ago accused the CDC of trucking people from different locations to register at the National Elections Commission in order to give them a greater hand in the upcoming by-elections in Montserrado County. Responding to the allegation, CDC Chairman Moba Molu said they will not give credence to what he calls a responsible party that prioritizes protest over election. And a report released by the Center for Transparency and Accountability has named police, government officials, including lawmakers, as the most corrupt institutions in Liberia. The survey was conducted by Transparency International in partnership with Afrobarometer and Omega Research. Global Corruption Barometer 2019 report. The article says African governments have practically failed to tackle the menace. Releasing the report in Cinco, Center for Transparency and Accountability boss said 47% of Liberians hold to the belief that corruption is on the increase in the country. Here now is Anderson Miamen.
Transparency International Global Corruption Barometer 2019 report. Corruption on the rise in Africa pool as governments seen failing to stop it. Police, government officials, and parliamentarians or lawmakers rated as the most corrupt institutions in Liberia. In this year's Africa report, part of the Global Corruption Barometer, Transparency International partnered with Afrobarometer and Omega Research, which spoke to 47,105 persons or respondents across 35 African countries. The result shows that more than half of citizens, or 55%, think that corruption is getting worse in their countries and that their governments are doing a bad job at tackling it. Meanwhile, 23% think that corruption is on the decrease and 16% believe it remains the same. The percent of people who claimed that corruption has increased in Liberia stands at 47%. compared to Sierra Leone 43% and Guinea 62% respectively. In 22 out of the 35 countries surveyed, a large majority of people said their governments are performing poorly in the fight against corruption. Across the region, majority of the people, 59%, think that their governments are doing a poor job at handling corruption, compared to 64% in the immediate past survey. And we need to get to a point where we are robust, we are impartial, and we are more serious about dealing with corruption. Political will has to be shown at the very highest level. The presidency, the legislature, the judiciary, and all the leaders we have, or the authorities we have that are overseeing activities and processes in the country, especially those dealing with promotion of good governance and fighting against corruption in Liberia, have to do more to concretely show to citizens that they are ready to fight against corruption.
Away from Liberia now, Sudan's ruling military council has said it failed an attempted coup aimed at blocking a power-sharing deal with opposition groups. More than a dozen people, among them former and current army officials and members of the security services, were arrested, a military spokesman told the BBC. Sudan has faced turmoil since President Omar al-Bashir was ousted in April. Meanwhile, a BBC investigation has heard claims linking the military council to an attack on protesters. KMTV News Update, Emmanuel Davis, good afternoon.